Back again with another Patreon critique. There's so many of these now. All right, so beautiful piece. We have a portrait, and it's kind of warm, glowy. You got some lens blurred stuff happening here, but it's the faceting that you have in the shapes on the face, right? And you have the highlights all in the right place, and this is kind of just a painter's thing. Not everyone wants to do this in terms of how they paint, but it's good to sort of group together. How do I explain it? Like if this is a side that's receiving a light, and this is where it's receiving a highlight, and then another. And when I say facets, I mean they're planes on her face that are facing different directions, and they have different normals. If you're familiar with 3D terms, and then this part is also facing a different thing. It's like it's turning, right? And if you were to draw a wireframe, it would be something like this, right? It goes along, and so basically there's different directions that the face is pointing at, or the planes that are pointing at. So I want to sort of emphasize that by separating the how do I say it? The value groups as well as the color. So let's let that highlight feel different and separate from this stuff, and let's do the same thing with the directional change on the cheek right there, and of course where it transitions on the nose, it's going to catch some light there, and then some light here. And the more you do it, the more graceful. I mean, this is kind of just a quick critique, and I don't have the reference that you were looking at. But if we take that, turn off that line work, and flatten it down, and blend it, using the mixer brush there. Not all the edges, but just softening things up a bit, much like in all those makeup tutorials. It has that kind of more effective read. And if we turn off what I did and compare, like this feels a little bit flat, right? And then if we go here, it's got some more form. Again, because of the facets receiving light and the facets not receiving the same light. And it's a subtle thing, but I'm going to go ahead and soften this up a little bit more around the nose as well. And I think the lower side of the lip ought to receive some darkness there. And if you do, and I see that you're putting some kind of texture, and if you want to do that here, let's see how that looks. You can actually use the mixer brush and use any scatter brush. Let's say maybe 14, and sort of do that, and it automatically has that kind of skin texture. I'm going to duplicate that in case I want to go back. And then it's tricky because you don't want to overdo it with this, and I do it on another layer so that I can erase out areas that I think it's overdone. Alright, and next I want to talk about the eyes. So they're a bit, I think dark maybe. Let me just paint over it and then I'll talk about it. Alright, so yeah, I just painted up the eye. If we compare the two, and I guess the one thing I'd say right now is you also want it to be pretty symmetrical on the other side. So same thing before, if we have this as a reference point, and here's about the middle, you want it to be fairly, let's just take this box, and let's say, mirror it over. Let's see. Well, let's eyeball it. Get it? Eyeball it. All right. Anyway, so it's somewhere in there. Yeah, so that, draw it out so that's symmetrical. And you could do that by, tracing the first one and flipping it. That's fine too. And you'll notice, well, this pupil is not very round, it's kind of cat eye. So you want to make sure that both eyes feel like they're looking at the camera. Well, I mean, that's what it looks like you want it to do. You know, something like that. So, but yeah, anyway, back to the actual painting part about it. If we compare it to the original, you know, it feels like it's kind of a flat 2D cartoon-ish thing. And if you're going for more realistic, you know, you should do a lot of studies of eyes, and you know, look at your own eye, and you'll notice that there's little reflections and stuff happening in here, and you know, there's kind of like a layering happening where you have the blue, and then it kind of goes in and out. There's like kind of a bunch of textures in there, right? And depending on how many light sources there are in the room, they're going to be little hot spots. This could be a window on the far right. This could be another window or studio light or something. Also, the eyelids will cast a shadow onto the eye, which I see that you have already, so that's good. And also the shadow side. So the whites of the eyes are never pure white, right? So you got that correct. But as it goes into the shadow, I actually made the shadow cooler, right? Because if it was a warmer shadow, then it kind of just doesn't have that dimensionality. And then I drew the top part of the eyelid, put a little bit of texture, implying that there's makeup. And yeah, I guess that would be what I would do for the eye. The hair also, you know, look up some reference for the eyebrows, for pretty much everything on here. Let's see. You know, it looks like it's probably a photo study. That's fine, it's good practice. I'm just going to darken that a little bit out of habit. But yeah, keep going, keep doing more of these. I think it's also a really good idea to draw people from life, and if you can go to like life drawing sessions or portrait painting, try to, so that you can really look at what's going on. And you know, because a camera has, you know, you can look at these photos, but a camera will interpret light and form and depth in a much different way than we do with our own eyes. So I would recommend that. Anyway, so there's plenty more that we can talk about here, but I think we covered a lot. And all right, well, I hope that was helpful, and stick around for more, and thank you for your support. You guys are the best, and see you next time. Click.